If you want to give years of your life to something and not regret it, there are 3 questions you need to ask yourself first. There's a Harvard psychologist called Dan Gilbert who spent his career on this, and he found something a little uncomfortable. That when you imagine your future, you picture the highlights, and your brain quietly deletes everything else without telling you. He also found the fix, which is to ask somebody already living it. And then he found that almost nobody does that, because we all think that we're the exception. So, if you're sitting on a big move right now, there are 3 questions you can use to find out if your dream is worth it before you spend 10 years finding out the expensive way. Now, if you don't know me, I'm Key and I'm obsessed with decision making, and I've done all the research so you don't have to. One bad decision cost me a decade of my life, and I want to make sure you don't make that same mistake. So in this video, I'm going to give you the 3 questions, what each one catches, in the version you can run today. Question number 1 is called the Wednesday test. Here's what everybody does, myself included. You picture the decision, then imagine it working. The stage, the launch, the offer letter, whatever it is. Every bit of goal advice you've ever been handed says you want to get specific about the outcome or make a vision board and you'll manifest it. The problem is that the outcome is about 4 days a year, so you picture the average Wednesday instead. Your imagination thinks of the good bits and then fills in the rest and doesn't show you the cuts. Imagine buying a house on a listing photos sight unseen. Sure, some people do this, but most of us want to take a tour, see if the faucet leaks. You check to see what the road sounds like at 7 a.m. or whether the neighbor has a dog that barks all day. And that's a house, which you can sell. Most people commit a decade to a career on the listing photos. I made this mistake when I was trying to be a rock star. Before becoming a nerd, I wanted to make it as a rapper, but all I imagined was headlining Madison Square Garden. I didn't picture the years of driving a Sprinter van or being on a tour bus with a bunch of sweaty dudes sleeping in a bunk bed. I don't like to go to bed after 9 p.m. I should have known it was a bad fit from the lifestyle alone, but the dream interfered with that reality. Remember that Harvard professor I mentioned in the intro? Yeah, well, he ran studies on this. When people were blocked from imagining and made to rely on somebody else already living the thing, their predictions got dramatically more accurate. His conclusion was that the best way to predict how you'll feel tomorrow is look at how somebody else feels today. So go find that person if you can, shadow them, watch the boring hours instead of the good ones, or get somebody 2 years in on a call and ask what their actual day looks like, specifically, because most jobs seem great until you see what they're actually like. Gilbert also worked out why nobody does this. We think we're too unusual for other people's experiences to apply. He calls it a mythical belief in our own uniqueness. Basically, we just think we're a special snowflake, and it's okay. I do too. But he is guilty of this, and we're wrong at a rate that you find embarrassing. So that's the first call you want to make today. Don't just keep picturing the win. Actually go look at what an average Wednesday looks like for your dream career or whatever it is that you want to do. Question number 2 is what you keep if it fails. And this is another one that nobody asks. Every plan you've ever written assumed that it works. The timeline, the savings target, the runway, the month you finally get to go full time. All of it is built for the good decision. But that's strange because most bets actually don't work out. So we spend all the planning on the outcome we're actually the least likely to get. But that's okay. I'm not saying don't shoot shots. What I'm saying is, how can we set ourselves up for success regardless of what the outcome is? And it comes down to one question that fixes it. If this doesn't work, what do I actually keep? I own a ton of songs that nobody listens to, and I have the skills of an audio engineer. It took years of work to get there, and it does nothing for me now. Completely untransferable skills. The songs sit on a hard drive, and now with Suno, you can do everything like that in 30 seconds. But there's then a 5-year period where I took a job closing high-ticket fitness programs over the phone. I bought 1 copywriting course, got 2 clients on Upwork, and inside 2 months I had a job writing copy for 85 grand. Then leveraged that into a creative strategy for 6 figures a year. Every rung on that path held the rung underneath it. It was one group of skills compounded and the others evaporated. So for yourself, think of it as a bet where you get to choose the consolation prize before you even place it. What is a group of skills or connections that make it a win, even if you lose? Okay, so how do we make this tactical? Write down what you would still win even if this failed completely. The skills, the relationships, the work somebody else can see, your reputation. If the list is thin, you don't have to drop the dream, just find a way to reroute it until it gets thicker. So please, do not let me hold you back from dreaming big. Just make sure you are planning only for the version where it works. So we covered the first 2 big questions you could ask, and now question 3 is about regret, and it's the one that I find the hardest. The truth is, you've probably heard this one already. You want to pick the thing you'll regret the least. It's on every list, it sounds wise, but it quietly smuggles in the assumption that somewhere out there there's an option with no regret attached to it. And I hate to break it to you, but there isn't one. Whenever you make one thing a priority, it means deprioritizing something else. That's just the way the game goes. So the real question actually comes down to, which regret would you be okay to carry? Dan Pink, the writer, collected more than 16,000 regrets from people in 105 countries and separated them into 4 kinds. Foundational regrets, only I'd done the work. Boldness regrets, if only I'd taken the risk. Moral regrets, if only I'd done the right thing. And connection regrets, only I'd reached out. The last one, the connection, is the largest category in the entire dataset. The biggest single thing that human beings regret is people that they didn't call. And let me tell you, that shit is so real. My boldness column is spent, okay? I took big swings. I'm not sitting here at 35 wishing that I'd been braver. I always had that one checked. But you can be damn sure that I have regrets, and every one of them sits in that foundation column about connections. I never felt the clock because I enjoyed my days. I defend that still now, but now that I'm 35, I feel incredibly behind. So both of those things can be true. You can appreciate your time. You can also realize that there were better choices to be made. And I wish I would have thought about this sooner. So again, how do we make this tactical? If I went back to talk to my 20-year-old self, here's the advice that I would give him. When you're standing in front of something big, a big decision, stop asking which outcome is better, because often unknowable. Ask which failure you could actually carry. Both roads have a version where it doesn't work, and you already know which of those two that you could win with. If you don't, that's why we're doing the exercise. This is the third call, and it's the one that actually holds up later. And if you want it wrapped up with a cherry on top, Seth Godin has a great way to frame it. What would you still do knowing it would fail? And that's your answer. Okay, so let's get a quick recap on the 3 questions. Number 1 is the Wednesday test. What does an ordinary day inside this dream actually look like? Number 2, how can you make it a win even if you lose? And number 3, if you're still torn, is what road would you take even knowing it would fail? You take some time to ask yourself those questions honestly, and you'll be farther along than most. As always, I'm doing my best to give you the stuff that actually moves the needle on decision making instead of the stuff that just sounds good in a caption. If you want some help on your big decision, I've got a clarity calculator in the description below that's completely free. Or if you'd rather just work together, that link's going to be there too. All right, that's all I've got. Appreciate y'all tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.